have two parts to our show today. The first part, we're going to be talking with the sales people, and the second part, we're going to be talking with social work. But right now, we have Eric with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we were talking before the show about our desire to get younger people to move in here instead of these people who are coming in wheelchairs and have just waited about 10 years too late to get in here.
That's a good question.
So how do we do it?
I don't know the answer. We talked about a few ideas. Because first of all, we can't prevent anyone from moving in. We can suggest if it's not appropriate that they, if our social work team says, we really don't think independent living is the right place, then we can pursue that avenue. But if someone's in a wheelchair in 95 or in a wheelchair in 75, we can't prevent them from coming in.
That's right.
And we want to be an inclusive community.
Sure.
However, we talk to a lot of people who think they're too young.
Right.
Whether they're 75 or 95, they think they're too young.
That's right.
And so that's a good question. How do we convince them to think differently? Our resident sales committee talks about this a lot.
Well, I know there are a lot of these people, they're still very active in their own community, and they don't want to leave that activity.
Right.
But now I have a neighbor who moved in not too long ago, and she was in that situation, and she is still very active out in the community. I rarely see her. She's rarely here. But she moved in and is very comfortable here. Yeah.
Well, I think, a couple thoughts I have is, we can talk to customers. Our sales team can talk to future residents about, how that doesn't have to change. You may be more active.
Right.
We know that's true. But I think it's more believable when it comes from a resident.
From a resident.
So the more we can connect future residents with current residents, the better that is. In fact, this came up at our sales committee. So in December, we were going to do a holiday meet the executive team event for future customers, but instead we're going to do a resident panel. And the main focus of the resident panel is to close this gap between the fact that future residents want to stay in their home as long as possible and think they're too young and healthy to move here. And current residents, many of them feel like they should have moved earlier. And so the truth lies, how do we close that gap of letting future residents know how current residents feel about this issue?
Right.
And so that panel is going to address that. It's also going to talk about the fact that maybe you don't need as big of an apartment as you think you need.
Yeah, that's what I've always told people. That you're not going to have that 4,000 square foot place, but what do you need it for?
Right. So, the other thing we've talked about is, we have a referral program. I think the first thing I tell a resident when they say, we need younger residents coming in, I say, you should get in touch with all your young friends and tell them to move here and share their name with us, and we can try to work with them, and we'll work together to bring them here.
I wonder if it would help if we, when we know people who really would enjoy living here.
Yeah.
Bring them and get them involved in some of our activities.
Yeah. There's a lot of future residents that are active with the resident groups.
I know I hear people once in a while say, oh, really? Could I come to that? And I always say, sure, it's open to anybody.
Most of the groups are. Some of the resident groups, I'm not sure how they feel about that, but a lot of them I think would. I think it would help us a lot.
It would if they get involved and realize that there's a lot going on here. But I think also just this idea of feeling they have to have one of the large apartments, I think once they get in, they realize, but I'm not entertaining anymore. Yeah. I do my entertaining in the lobby, in the dining room.
Exactly. One of our David and Irene Hall had shared with me that they and I said this at our event yesterday with a bunch of new prospective residents, that think of Green Spring as like a 2 million square foot mansion.
Right. And
your apartment is just your guest quarters. And they said the same thing. They do all their entertaining in the public space, in the clubhouses and the restaurants.
Sure.
So the other idea we were talking about is a lot of our new customers that come to us, and they're not in a hurry to move here. They want the biggest apartments.
Sure.
Manchesters, Lancasters, Wellingtons, Williamsburgs, and they're willing to wait. Well, there's a lot of those people. We have a lot. I counted in that category about almost 50 couples that want to move here, that want those size apartment homes.
Yeah.
Well, there's residents in them now.
Right.
And so till those residents leave, those apartments don't become available. So one of the thoughts we had was, well, what if a resident, particularly maybe if there was a couple, and now someone's living alone in one of these bigger apartments, might they rather live in a smaller apartment?
Less upkeep.
Less upkeep, less place to clean, a lower monthly fee.
Much lower monthly fee.
Right.
Right.
And they would get so we're making this up because we have smaller apartments. We have one-bedroom apartments available, but we have a long list of people waiting for these bigger apartments, the
Right.
Manchesters and bigger, is an offer to residents to say, consider moving to a brand new apartment, new appliances, new cabinets, new carpet, new lighting package. They're beautiful if
Yes, they
people
are.
have seen them. And because we need to bring these two-bedroom apartments, bring new people in, and there's people waiting for them, it's worth it for the community to help those residents out with that move. So we're offering to waive that reoccupancy refurbishment fee, to pack all their stuff up, move it, unpack it, and put them in a brand new, smaller apartment with all those other benefits. So it does two things. This resident maybe gets the right size apartment for them at no cost, and we're able to bring some younger residents in that are waiting in line for those bigger apartments. So I don't know if there's an interest out there or not.
Well, I don't know, but it's certainly something to consider.
Yeah.
Because I know several people who are in those large apartments that sort of feel like they're rattling around.
And moving would be a stressful process,
Sure,
but the way we could handle it and
You just go out and
Yeah.
spend a couple of days with your kids.
come back and we'll have you all moved into a new apartment.
Right.
So if there's anybody that is interested in talking about that, then they should contact the sales office and we can entertain that conversation. So that might be a way to bring in some younger folks and to help out some current residents.
Right. Right.
But I know a lot of other people in big apartments, they just love their apartments.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not in it, which is
and
fine.
They're well settled. And,
Yeah. So we don't want to displace someone that,
Yeah.
doesn't want to move. They should stay in their apartment.
But you can sure put a thumb on them and say, why don't you move?
Well, no, I think if it's a benefit to them, then it's also a benefit to the
Sure it
community
is.
and
Sure
a
it
benefit to people waiting to get into the
Sure
community.
it is. Sure it is.
So those are some ideas for bringing younger residents in. But the key is talking to residents, and so we have over 100 resident ambassadors that help us with our events.
Well, I wonder, sometimes I'm not signed up to be an ambassador on a particular event, but I'll wander through and talk with people.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if people felt more free to do that, to feel they didn't have to have a badge on to say, talk to me, I'm here to help you. Just feel free to talk with any of these people who are coming through.
And we actually do get a lot of residents while we're touring potential residents through the community. They do just introduce themselves and tell them what a great place it is. We seldom get anybody complaining to future residents, which wouldn't help our purpose, but it's also a sign that there's a lot of people that really like to live here.
Sure.
And our guests see that. The other thing they see is the positive interaction between residents and between staff and residents. And I think that surprises people that there's this community feeling, this very positive community feeling here. And so they sense that. They sense that the employees like to work here, that the residents enjoy interaction with the staff and each other. And so a lot of residents do that. In fact, somebody asked me just yesterday, do you pay residents to say good things about it while we're here? And I said, no, they pay us actually. In the form of a monthly fee, but it's amazing, and so it makes a big difference.
It does.
So I've heard of there are places that don't let the current residents talk to the future residents.
I've heard of that.
That would be a warning sign to me.
It would be. Yeah.
So on this ambassador piece, the actual ambassadors, and we just did a training program for our ambassadors last week. Is we are looking for more residents that would be willing to show their apartments to future residents.
I can really speak to that because I used to do that before all the changes came about, and I have a nasty little dog right now.
Oh.
But anyway, I used to really enjoy people coming through the apartment. And talking with them about the advantages of living here and why I was able to downsize from a 3-bedroom, 2-story house to the 1-bedroom. And it just, I thoroughly enjoyed talking to the people as they came through. So I would encourage people to show their apartments. It's very rewarding, and you get to brag a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we it's helpful. We show a lot of apartments that are just empty. They're finished, they're beautiful, but they're empty. And surprisingly, I think they look smaller when they're empty.
They do.
And then people are surprised at how much furniture and how many furnishings and all the things you bring into your home
Sure.
to make it home.
Right.
That actually fit into this apartment and feel not cluttered, feel homey.
Right.
And so when they visit a resident in their apartment, they go, wow, is this the same apartment style that I
Right.
just saw that's empty?
Right.
In addition to talking to the residents. So that's a very important piece, but we're short on a number of floor plans
Yeah.
that we want to be able to show. So if there's residents out there that would like to
Well, I would
participate.
certainly encourage people to do it because it's fun. It's fun, really.
Yeah, we
And,
enjoy it.
And you have, you know, your things you have sitting around are conversation
Yeah.
starters, and
Yeah. You can't bring all your furniture, right? But you can bring
No.
a lot of the personal
Sure.
things that you want to bring.
pictures and so
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
So people are surprised at how much people get into their apartment homes. So it's very helpful to see it. But the conversations are critical.
Right. Right.
That they find out is, oh, you like living here better than? Do you miss your home? Do you miss your home?
No.
Yeah. Your old home?
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. You miss cooking?
No.
Oh. You know, a lot of our kitchens aren't very big, and so people come in and go, oh, I need a bigger kitchen. I go, well, maybe you do, but a lot of residents don't cook much after
That's
they
right.
get here.
That's right. A lot of residents use their ovens as bookshelves, and
And I hope they don't turn them on.
yes.
No, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else did we talk about? We talked about our referral program. If people have friends, right?
Right.
We have a budget to pay residents, and some people will say, well, I don't know if I want money, but it's actually good use of community dollars. Because if we pay you $500 for bringing a new resident in, believe me, we're spending more than $500 per resident to market to them
Right.
and bring them to events. And do you know how long it takes for a customer from the time they request a brochure to the time they move in? Guess how long that time period is on average?
I'd say about 7 years.
Yeah, it's 5 years.
5 years.
It's a long time
That is.
to think about it. So this process speeds that up a lot. Is now I have someone they're my friends. They know, they see me all the time. I enjoy it here.
If there were just some way we could get people to think retirement,
Yeah,
active retirement, rather than nursing home.
yeah. I mean, our marketing materials are right on. The
Oh, they
experience
are.
people get when they come here is right on. Now, if they're outside the dining rooms 15 minutes before the dining room opens, we do have a certain look. Our community has a certain look about it.
Right. Right.
We tend to try not to have 3:30 p.m. appointments. But that's part of our aging population.
Sure. It is.
And
It is.
and we tell people we have 4 decades of residents. We have people 62 and we have people 102.
Now, how many did you say are here from the original group that moved in?
I think there's over 300, maybe 350 residents that are the original residents, which means they've been living here between 13 and 18 years. And so, we've been hearing that sales is bringing in residents who are too old or not mobile enough. And I don't know how much that's changed. I think the use of devices like walkers is more prevalent in society in general.
I think it probably is. Yeah.
And the existing population is aging.
Yeah.
And so, we want to be inclusive. But I think we talked about resident groups and the engagement within the community. Younger residents will bring a little bit more engagement
Right.
to the resident groups. We can get more participation.
Right.
So we're all in it together.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
And those
Report
of-
back to me, would you? Yeah.
Those of you who have not shown an apartment but have some interesting things in it, think about showing your apartment because people really enjoy it and it does help. So let's see what we have on this little video we have that's entitled Cancer, Whip It.